I have already coated this medallion with the black slip and it has become leather hard. Now that it's leather hard, I am taking my template that I have cut out from the paper with the design already drawn on it, and I'm just going to line it up to my medallion, get it exactly where I need it to be. Once I get it in the right place, I'm going to try really hard not to move it again. Now that I have my design where I want it to be and everything's lined up, I'm going to take the tool that looks like a needle but has a little ballpoint tip at the end. That blunt tip is going to be what I'm going to use to outline my design onto my medallion. Now, it is very important that you treat each line as a solid. Don't just go over it and trace over the lines one stroke at a time. What you can see me doing here is that I am tracing each triangle as its own shape, and by creating a shape out of each triangle, I am going to allow for that thick chunky line to be its own shape as well. So as you can see right there, it's transferring my design over in a way that isn't just a line, it's a chunky line. It's an outline of the design that I created. I'm just going to go ahead and start carving away a little bit at the areas that are supposed to be white, and I'm going to be leaving the areas that are supposed to be black, or the lines from my design, I'm going to leave those a solid black. I'm using the finer side, the finer tip. There's a larger tip and a smaller tip when it comes to these ballpoint and needle tools. And as you kind of develop crumbs, all you need to do is blow them away. You can also bring a brush over and just use a brush to brush them lightly off. And I'm just going to keep outlining, and then I'm going to keep going back and just, making sure that I know where my lines are. This is time-lapsed, but I'm pretty much just doing what I've been doing with my design, and that is I'm taking that ballpoint end from that needle tool and I'm tracing over the paper, and then I'm going back and just kind of outlining some of the lines so that I don't get lost. What you need to notice is that not once does the paper actually come off of the medallion. There's always some part of the paper making contact with it when I lift it back to check my progress. And I'm just lightly tracing over all the shapes and making sure that I give the lines their own shape. I'm not tearing through the paper and I'm not gouging at it. You really want to make sure that you're doing it very lightly, because it's going to transfer nicely, and if you start going through the paper, then you start going through the slip and you start the Sgraffito process before it's ready to. Here's a close-up of what the transfer looks like after it's done. As you can see, I didn't go through the paper to start scratching away at the surface of the slip. Anything that's carved away was done purposely. It's just the pressure that gives you that outline. You should not see anything removed. This again is time-lapsed, but what I'm doing now is I'm just removing clay where the areas of my design are white, and I'm allowing the dark areas, the black areas, to just remain a solid black. I'm going to trade off between both of the tools. This is again the needle tool. You can blow away those crumbs, or you can bring a brush over to kind of brush them off as you're working. But what I'm doing is everywhere I have a white triangle, I'm just removing the slip. And everywhere I have a dark line, I'm allowing the slip to remain. I have now switched over to the red tool, which gives us the blunt edge for scraping. And you can see that it just kind of gives it that texture, and it makes it look really cool. Do not try and make it super clean because it takes away some of its character. Then again, it is up to you. You want to make sure that you go ahead and punch a hole in the medallion while it's still leather hard so that you can hang it later. And in this close-up, you can see the results of my progress so far. I'm far from done, but you can kind of get the idea of where we're going.